Welcome. My name is Jose Barzola. I'm the Conflict and Peace Specialist at the University of Hawaii, Manoa. I also happen to have the honor to be on the board for the Conflict Resolution Alliance, which is a local nonprofit here in Hawaii, but it's made up of members from all over. So it's been really wonderful journey to connect with various change makers, peace builders, conflict resolvers, wherever you all may be. And so we have a great turnout for today's event of folks who have signed up. Today's event is about is a new series called Mediation Professionals in the Field that presents Mediation Training 2.0 and has human plus AI assisted simulations with Giuseppe Leone and will be moderated by Dick Mosher. Today's session is about Giuseppe Leone, who's a CRA, Conflict Resolution Alliance Hawaii member, and has been a volunteer mediator for the Mediation Center of the Pacific since 1997. Always intrigued by the intersection of online technology and mediation, Giuseppe will cover the following in a 1-hour webinar, demonstrate how mediators can practice and sharpen their skills through AI-assisted mediation simulations independently at any time and at their own pace, clarify why AI tools like Google Bard and ChatGPT believe that mediators still require professional mediation training. Welcome your feedback on how this opportunity could enhance classroom and online mediation training. And so about our speakers today, Mr. Giuseppe Leone is a retired mediator here in Hawaii, has practiced mediation since 1997, and he utilized online video conferencing apps such as Skype and later Zoom to run extensive simulations with mediators around the world. He established a virtual mediation lab, providing a platform for mediators to practice and refine their skills. In recent months, Giuseppe has made a noteworthy discovery. Mediators can now independently conduct AI ChatGPT assisted mediation simulations at their own convenience. In these simulations, ChatGPT assumes the roles of the parties, their lawyers, and even a concealed mediation quote unquote assistant. Our moderator today is Mr. Dick Mosher, who's a Hawaii attorney, arbitrator, mediator, and current president of the Conflict Resolution Alliance in Honolulu. He's a former CLO, General Counsel, Associate General Counsel of Electronics, Ball Corporation, Maytag, and Hoover. Dick is currently the Senior Legal Advisor to the Vanguard Network in New York and a member of the BOD for the Association of Corporate Counsel Nevada Chapter and Small Law Department Network. And with that being said, I do want to also
join the meeting.
Welcome. Welcome our multiple co-sponsors for today's event. Really appreciate the opportunity to continue to collaborate between many conflict resolution or mediation, the community here in Hawaii. Our co-sponsors are the Hawaii State Judiciary Center for Alternative Dispute Resolution, the Hawaii State Bar Association, the ADR section, the Matsunaga Institute for Peace, the Community Mediation Centers, the Kauai Economic Opportunity Incorporated Mediation Program, the Kokahi Mediation Program, the Maui Mediation Services, and the Mediation Center of the Pacific, as well as the West Hawaii Mediation Center. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dick. Thank you so much for today's session.
Thank you, Jose. Just a brief comment about my colleague and good friend, Giuseppe. We've known each other for a long time now, and I took my online mediation training certificate from Giuseppe quite a while ago. I just want to say that when you read the word retired in the LinkedIn for Giuseppe or myself, it's a little like that Bruce Willis movie, Red, Retired Extremely Dangerous, but in our case, it's Retired Extremely Busy. You'll see that Giuseppe is extremely active in terms of facilitating and training mediators online and artificial intelligence, which is what he'll talk about today. I'm very much looking forward to this. The technology is here to stay. It's going to get better, but we really need to keep up with things. And when I logged on to his LinkedIn group, which you should all take a look at, I noticed in a short video really some incredible things that artificial intelligence is doing to help train mediators. So with no further ado, Giuseppe, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening, wherever you are. I'm so glad that you're interested to participate in this webinar. You know the title, which is Mediation Training 2.0, human plus AI-assisted simulations. So we're here for 3 reasons. The first reason is to show you what I've discovered in the last few months with the ChatGPT, and particularly the 3 different ways in which ChatGPT can help mediators practice and sharpen their skills by themselves whenever they like. The second reason we're here is to ask you what you think. Whether you think that is something interesting to look at or not. And finally, the third reason is to make some suggestions in case you're interested or eager to start your first online mediation simulation with ChatGPT, or you're simply interested to know more about this topic of AI-assisted mediation simulations. So this webinar is particularly for mediation trainees, beginner mediators, experienced mediators, and mediation trainers. When we say mediation simulations, we are talking about using ChatGPT for helping the mediators being as prepared as possible before they meet with the parties and their lawyers. So we're not talking about artificial intelligence to be used during mediation. That's a completely different topic, and I know nothing about it. Also, when we talk about mediation simulation with ChatGPT, we're talking about simulations in addition to the mediation simulations. They usually are held in the classroom or online, not instead of, okay? And just to be clear up front, there is no way that ChatGPT can teach anybody to mediate. How do I know? I asked him or her or it. And the answer was, no, you still need a good professional mediation training. Okay, so during this presentation and demo, I will let ChatGPT do most of the talking. And so I'm going to share 4 videos today. In the first video, I will ask ChatGPT to tell us what it is. So you'll hear my voice, and you'll hear a voice of ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT is a robot, so he has no voice. So I added the voice, okay? But our conversation is real. In the 4 videos that I will share with you today, I will encourage you to pay attention to how informal our conversation is, and yet how clear it is, all right? So let me share with you for the first video, which I called Meet ChatGPT. It's a 7-minute video, but it will give you right away a sense of what we are talking about. So let me find the video. Okay. Let me share with you. ChatGPT, can you explain in less than 30 words what you are?
I am ChatGPT, a language model created by OpenAI. I process and generate human-like text based on the input I receive.
How can you help mediators practice and sharpen their skills?
I can provide simulated mediation scenarios, offer guidance on communication techniques, and share insights on conflict resolution strategies to help mediators practice and enhance their skills.
Let me explain what I need. I'm a beginner mediator. I've just completed a 40-hour basic mediation training. I loved it. And now I would like to practice what I learned during the training by myself, whenever I can. Could you play the roles of the parties and their lawyers in mediation simulations in which I will play the role of the mediator?
Certainly. I can simulate scenarios with parties and their lawyers for your mediation practice. Let's start with a scenario. Please provide some details about the conflict, the parties involved, and any specific issues you'd like to address in the mediation.
During those simulations, can you also play the role of an invisible assistant that can give me feedback and valuable advice during a simulation?
Absolutely. I can act as an invisible assistant, providing feedback, guidance, and valuable advice as you navigate through the mediation simulations. Feel free to begin the scenario, and I'll offer assistance as needed.
Let me understand better how our mediation simulations will work. To begin with, will I need to write a scenario for our simulations, or I could ask you to write a scenario for our simulations?
You can either provide a scenario for the mediation simulations, specifying the details of the conflict, parties, and issues, or you can ask me to create a scenario for you. If you have a specific scenario in mind, feel free to share it. Otherwise, I can generate a scenario based on common mediation situations. Let me know your preference.
During our mediation simulations, I also need to have private meetings with the parties and their lawyers. If I give you some clear instructions on how to do that, can you follow those instructions?
Yes, I can simulate private meetings with the parties and their lawyers based on your instructions. Please provide any specific details or instructions you have in mind for these private meetings, and I will incorporate them into the simulations accordingly.
At the end of a mediation simulation, could I also have a debriefing session with all mediation participants so they can give me their feedback on what I did well or not so well during that mediation simulation?
Certainly. After each mediation simulation, we can have a debriefing session where all participants, including myself as the invisible assistant, provide feedback on your mediation performance. This can be a valuable part of your learning process. Feel free to initiate the debriefing whenever you're ready, and I'll share feedback and insights based on the simulation.
Since I'll be running our mediation simulations only with you, does that mean that I can begin a simulation whenever I want? For example, after dinner, pause it and resume it whenever I can. For example, the next day or the next week, whenever I have time.
Absolutely. You have the flexibility to start, pause, and resume the mediation simulations at your convenience. Whether it's after dinner, the next day, or even the next week, you can initiate and continue the simulations whenever it suits your schedule. This flexibility allows you to integrate mediation practice into your routine at your own pace. Feel free to begin whenever you're ready, and we can proceed accordingly.
It sounds great, almost too good to be true. If you don't mind, show me what you can do. Write a 50-word-long dialogue between two business partners named John and Mary who have a conflict about the future of their engineering company. Make up a reason for that conflict.
Mary, I'm concerned about our company's future. Your focus on innovation is draining resources. We need stability.
John, innovation drives success. Stability alone won't cut it. Let's find a balance that ensures growth without compromising our foundation.
Good job. Now analyze the dialogue that you wrote and name the key feelings of John and Mary. Don't explain them to me, just name them.
John, concerned. Mary, assertive.
During my mediation training, I learned Abraham Maslow's theory of human needs. Can you analyze once again the dialogue you wrote and tell me what are John's and Mary's unmet human needs, according to Abraham Maslow's theory?
John, safety and stability. Mary, self-actualization, innovation, and growth.
ChatGPT, since you can do so much, do I still need to take additional mediation training? Tell me the truth. Just say yes or no.
Yes.
Why?
Mediation involves practical skills and real-world experience. While I can provide simulations and guidance, formal training offers in-depth knowledge, feedback from experienced professionals, and a structured learning environment crucial for developing effective mediation skills.
ChatGPT, I really appreciate how clearly and honestly you explained what you can and what you cannot do for me. Now, I can't wait to start practicing my mediation skills with you. Actually, now that I know how our mediation simulations with you work, I would suggest to some experienced mediators to run simulations with you as well, whenever they want. Not so much to practice their skills, but to try out new mediation techniques that never applied before in real mediations. See you later.
I'm glad to hear that you find the mediation simulations helpful. Experienced mediators exploring new techniques can certainly benefit from tailored scenarios. Whenever you're ready to start or recommend it to others, feel free to initiate the simulations. I'm here to assist. See you later.
All right, so this video shows already how a mediator can interact with ChatGPT, okay? Now, the second video I'd like to show you has to do with the reality that in many countries around the world, mediation is not well known as it is in the United States. So there is a key question that a lot of lawyers worldwide, sooner or later, are going to ask a mediator. What do we need you for? As you can imagine, I asked that question to ChatGPT, and he gave me an answer. So I'd like to show the video with you so that you can see how the interaction with the ChatGPT works and what kind of answer you can expect. So bear with me. Video, okay. Lawyers, here it is.
ChatGPT, I'm a novice mediator in a country where many lawyers think that mediation is useless and, even worse, bad for their business. As a result, they are very skeptical about the utility of my role as a neutral mediator. Suppose, at the outset of the initial mediation meeting, the lawyers representing the clients were to tell me something like this. Mediator, we hope you don't mind, but we have a simple question for you. We lawyers know the law. We know the facts and all details of our client's dispute. And certainly we know how to negotiate a settlement for our clients in order to avoid the time, cost, and uncertainty of litigation. That's our job. Nothing personal, but why, exactly, do we need a mediator like you? ChatGPT, how can I best answer that question?
You could respond by acknowledging their expertise and role in the negotiation process while highlighting the unique value that a mediator brings to the table. Here's a suggestion. I appreciate your perspective, and it's clear that as legal experts, you have a deep understanding of the law and the facts surrounding your client's dispute. Your ability to negotiate settlements is certainly commendable, and it plays a crucial role in resolving conflicts efficiently. However, allow me to offer a different perspective on the role of a mediator. While lawyers are skilled at advocating for their clients' interests,
I don't know. I'm not sure that such a long explanation would work. It's too long, too wordy. Can you make it shorter? Better yet, can you use a metaphor for your explanation?
Absolutely, let's use a metaphor. Think of me as the GPS for your negotiation journey. You know the destination, a settlement, and you have the driving skills, legal expertise, to get there. But I provide the guidance, suggesting alternate routes, avoiding traffic jams, conflicts, and ultimately ensuring a smoother, more efficient journey. Together, we can navigate this process with greater ease and reach the desired outcome faster.
Yes, that sounds better and much easier to understand. ChatGPT, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. If you have any more questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask anytime. Good luck with your mediation efforts.
All right, so I hope that these two videos have already given you a sense of how it works. So if it's okay with you, I would like to ask, what is your first impression, your very first impression about all this? So, Jose, do you mind starting that poll, the online survey?
The poll has been launched.
Thank you. So let's see, what is your very first impression about all this? All right. Jose, can you share the results? Can you see the results? Because I can. Okay, fine. Thank you. All right. Now, so it seems that most of you find all this quite interesting. So let me clarify the three ways in which, thank you, the three ways in which the ChatGPT can be useful. One way is to ask ChatGPT to play the roles of the parties, their lawyers, an invisible assistant. That's one way. And I'll tell you later when this setting works well. Another possibility is to ask ChatGPT to play the role of the mediator. This is useful when, for example, a mediator has mediated a case which was particularly difficult, and after the mediation starts wondering, what could I possibly done better or differently? In this case, the mediator can ask ChatGPT to play the role of the mediator, provide ChatGPT with a scenario, and find out whether or not ChatGPT could have done something differently or better. The third way of using ChatGPT is this. For specific tasks, for example, you can say, suppose that two parties come to mediation simply because a district court judge sent them to mediation, okay? What is the best way of starting a conversation with them? Option one, option two, I'm talking about opening statement, right? So opening statement number one, opening statement number two, opening statement number three. So tell me, if you were in the party's shoes, which of these opening statements will work better for you and why? The same could be done for another task. For example, suppose that during the negotiation stage, the parties and their lawyers have reached an impasse. Which of these statements will work better? Statement number one, statement number two, statement number three, and why? All right, so if it's okay with you, now I would like to show you in more detail the similarities and differences between ChatGPT simulations and the simulations that are typically conducted in a classroom or online. So bear with me. Share. Okay, basic. Here it is. Okay. So let me put this away. All right. So with ChatGPT simulations, like with classroom simulation, it is important to have a scenario, right? Now, a mediator can write a scenario or can ask ChatGPT to write a scenario. Also, it is important to tell ChatGPT who are the characters of this mediation. The parties, their lawyers, not only their names, but their personalities, communication styles, relationship, motivation, and is also the first time or not the second or in mediation, or they've already had some good or bad experience with other mediators. Also, with ChatGPT, mediators can have joint and private meetings. For example, with party number one, a lawyer number one, party number two, a lawyer number two, only with both lawyers or only with both parties. So this is the same. In the classroom, typically the trainer acts as a facilitator. When you are with ChatGPT, you can have an assistant playing pretty much the same role. Also, with ChatGPT, you can have debriefing sessions. These debriefing sessions are very important because it allows mediators to learn as much as possible out of each simulation. For example, the mediator can ask all participants, how clearly was I able to explain this? And another question that I like so much is this. What questions do you wish I'd asked you, but I didn't? Now, when you run simulations in the classroom or online, you only have so much time, right? With ChatGPT, there is no time limit. You can start a simulation whenever you like. You can pause it and resume it whenever you like, and you can end it wherever you like. Now, ChatGPT keeps track of all your simulations. So you can start them, resume them, and end them whenever you like. Also, in a real simulation, in a classroom, the mediator is obviously supposed to respond immediately to do something about it, okay? That's not true with the ChatGPT-assisted simulations. You can take all the time you want to reflect on what's going on and ask the next question. It's as if you're playing a chess game. Which question should I ask now and why? And you can take all the time you want. Now, needless to say, with ChatGPT, you don't need other mediators. ChatGPT will play all those roles for you. Here are some useful tips that I would like to share with you because it took me some learning during the last months. The first tip is to be aware that ChatGPT is not a mind reader. You have to tell ChatGPT as clearly as possible what it's supposed to do. So it is important to formulate clear questions and to double check. I always ask, can you repeat, just to make sure they understand? Now, it is also useful, try not to do too much in one session, okay? And concentrate on some specific tasks, like the one I just mentioned. Which opening statement will work better if you were the parties? If you're reaching an impasse, which statement will work better for you, and so on. It's also important to have a kind of to-do list. And perhaps most importantly is to be patient and to try different things. Because certain things work well right away. Others take a bit more time. There is a specific set of skills that you'll develop during this simulation, and those are questioning skills. The ability to ask as few questions as possible, but as effective as possible. And during my simulations, I realized how useful a particular book can be. This book is called Mediator's Toolkit, How to Formulate Questions, has been written by Jerry O'Sullivan. She's an Irish mediator with more than 35 years experience, both in mediation and in training. So this book contains a number of questions. Those questions are not random. They are based on theory. So in a nutshell, Jerry O'Sullivan did this. Most likely, people have a mediation because A, B, C. If this is true, this question or questions can be useful. So this is how you can use them, when, and most importantly, why. So I highly recommend this book, which has nothing to do with any specific mediation method. Okay, now I also developed a 3-step process that I found useful. The first step, which I called set the stage, is the step where you are a movie director or a screenwriter. So you figure out the scenario, which I just mentioned, who is in this movie, so to speak, join private meetings, and then you start mediate. Then you start mediate any way you like, and you can stop any way you like. The third part, as I mentioned, is the debriefing session. Okay, so now let me share with you the two other videos. They're short videos. One has to do with ChatGPT playing the role of a mediation assistant. The other one has to do during the debriefing session. Okay, so you can see how it works. So let's begin with the advanced video. Let's begin with the assistant. Here it is. ChatGPT, can you play the roles of a landlord named John and a tenant named Jack in a mediation simulation in which I will play the mediator's role? If so, I will give you further instructions.
Certainly, I can play the roles of John, the landlord, and Jack, the tenant, in the mediation simulation. Please provide further instructions and we can begin.
When you play the roles of John and Jack in our mediation simulation, keep in mind the following. First, John and Jack have come to mediation only because, after John filed a lawsuit against Jack for unpaid rent, the district court judge assigned to that case, instead of going ahead with the trial, has urged John and Jack to resolve the dispute by themselves with the assistance of a neutral mediator. Second, John and Jack have never participated in mediation before. Are you clear about the scenario of our mediation simulation and about the roles of John and Jack that you will play?
Yes, I'm clear about the scenario of our mediation simulation and the roles of John and Jack. John, the landlord, has filed a lawsuit against Jack, the tenant, for unpaid rent. The district court judge has suggested mediation to resolve the dispute and both parties have agreed to participate. They have not been through mediation before. Please provide any specific issues or points of discussion you'd like to focus on during the simulation.
During our mediation simulation, in addition to playing the roles of John and Jack, you will also play the role of my personal assistant, an experienced mediator, invisible to John and Jack, ready to give me valuable advice only when I ask for it. You will remain behind the scenes at all times during the entire mediation simulation, and therefore you will never participate in any of my conversations with John and Jack in any way, shape or form. I will decide if and when to ask you to give me some advice. What questions do you have about the roles of John, Jack and my personal mediation assistant that you will play during our mediation simulation? If you have no question, I will explain how we'll communicate during our mediation simulation.
No questions at the moment. Please go ahead and explain how we'll communicate during the mediation simulation.
This is how we'll communicate during our mediation simulation. When you answer a question I asked John and Jack, you will identify yourself as either John or Jack, so I know who you are. When you answer a question I asked you as my personal assistant, your answer will begin by identifying yourself as assistant. Just to be sure, please confirm that you clearly understand how we will communicate with each other during our mediation simulation.
Understood. I'll identify myself as either John or Jack when responding to questions addressed to them. When responding to your questions as your personal assistant, I'll start by identifying myself as assistant. Let's proceed with the mediation simulation. If you have any specific instructions or if you'd like to kick off the conversation, feel free to do so.
Let's begin our mediation simulation. John and Jack, nice to meet you both. Is this the first time you participate in mediation, or have you participated in mediation before?
Jack, nice to meet you too. This is the first time I'm participating in mediation. I've never been through this process before.
John, yeah, same here. This is my first time as well.
John and Jack, Before I explain the purpose of mediation, how it works, and my role as a neutral mediator and so on, I'd like to ask each of you the same question. John, do you have any idea or can you guess why your district court judge sent you to mediation? What does the judge hope that you'll be able to achieve in mediation today? Jack, do you have an idea or can you guess why your district court judge sent you to mediation? What does the judge hope that you'll be able to achieve in mediation today?
John, well, I suppose the judge wants us to try and resolve our dispute without going through a lengthy trial. Maybe they hope we can come to some agreement on the unpaid rent issue.
Jack, I think the judge wants us to find a solution on our own, without going through the formal court process. Maybe they believe we can work out a deal regarding the rent that's fair for both of us.
Okay. Now that we know what the judge hopes you'll be able to accomplish in mediation, let me ask you a similar question. John and Jack, what do each of you hope you'll be able to achieve here in mediation? What needs to happen in order to make this mediation worthwhile and useful to you?
John, personally, I hope we can find a resolution that addresses the unpaid rent issue and maybe work out a plan moving forward. It would be great if we could avoid further legal complications and come to an agreement that's fair.
Jack, I agree. I hope we can reach a fair resolution on the rent matter. It would be beneficial if we could find common ground and settle this without escalating the situation further. I also hope we can establish some clear terms for moving forward.
John and Jack, if this mediation could lead to a resolution that meets your expectations, would you be pleased?
John, absolutely. I'd be pleased if we can reach a resolution that's fair and meets both our expectations. It would save us time, money, and unnecessary stress.
Jack, I feel the same way. If we can come to an agreement that satisfies both of us, it would be a positive outcome, and I'd be pleased with that.
Assistant, while you were behind the scenes, you saw that I tried right away to establish John and Jack's motivation to participate in mediation. Simply put, I wanted to avoid the risk of mediating with two people who had come to mediation against their will, just to please the judge who sent them to mediation. What do you think of my approach? What else could I have done to establish John and Jack's motivation to work out an agreement in mediation?
Assistant, your approach to establish John and Jack's motivation was effective in gauging their willingness to participate in mediation. By understanding their motivations, you can tailor the mediation process to better address their needs and concerns. To further explore their motivation, you could ask open-ended questions about their expectations, concerns, and goals related to the dispute. This can provide more insights into their perspectives and create a foundation for a more constructive mediation process.
Assistant, thank you for your feedback. I appreciate it. Okay, so now we come to the fourth video, which shows you the debriefing session, where the mediator asks all participants some questions about their experience. So let me show that with you. Here it is. Feedback. Okay, here it is. ChatGPT, write an 80-word-long scenario where two business partners named John and Mary want to resolve their conflicting views on the future of their engineering company with the assistance of a neutral mediator. John and Mary have never participated in mediation before. They've scheduled a consultation meeting to decide if mediation could be useful in their case. After you write the scenario, I will give you further instructions.
John and Mary, business partners in an engineering company, face conflicting visions for the future. Seeking resolution, they opt for mediation with a neutral third party. Both new to the mediation process, they schedule a consultation meeting to explore the potential benefits. The mediator aims to facilitate open communication, guiding them towards a collaborative solution that aligns with the company's goals.
Could you play the roles of John and Mary in a mediation simulation in which I will play the mediator's role? If so, wait until I give you more instructions.
Certainly, I can assist in the mediation simulation. Please provide further instructions on how you'd like to proceed, and I'll play the roles of John and Mary accordingly.
This is how we'll communicate with each other. When you answer a question I asked John and Mary, you will identify yourself as either John or Mary, so I know who you are. Just to be sure, please confirm that you understand which two roles you play in our mediation simulation, which role I will play in that simulation, and how we'll communicate with each other.
Confirmed. I will play the roles of both John and Mary in the mediation simulation. You will assume the role of the mediator. When responding to your questions, I will identify myself as either John or Mary to distinguish between the two characters. Let's proceed with the simulation.
John and Mary, nice to meet you both. If I understand correctly, you're here to find out if mediation could be useful to resolve some issues regarding the future of your company. Have you participated in any other mediation before, or if you decide to go ahead with mediation, this will be your first time?
Hello. Nice to meet you too. This would be our first time participating in mediation. We believe it could help us navigate the differing perspectives we have on the company's future.
What about you, John? First time in mediation?
Yes, it's my first time as well. We're hoping that mediation can provide a constructive platform for us to address our conflicting views and find common ground for the future of the company.
John and Mary, before I explain what mediation can do for you, how it works, my role as neutral mediator and so on, I'd like to ask each of you this question. John, when you and Mary decided to start your company together, what did you see in each other that told you that you could be a good fit? Mary, when you and John decided to start your company together, what did you see in each other that told you that you could be a good fit?
When Mary and I started the company, I saw in her a strong visionary with innovative ideas. Her technical expertise complemented my business-oriented approach, and I believed our combined strengths could lead the company to success.
I saw in John a strategic thinker and a leader. His business acumen and ability to navigate challenges impressed me. I felt that our skills would complement each other well, creating a balanced and dynamic partnership for the company's growth.
John and Mary, our mediation simulation to help me practice and improve my mediation skills ends here. Thank you. I will appreciate it if you will now give me your candid feedback about what I did. You notice that before explaining what mediation means, how it works and so on, I asked you a question about your past to make you realize how your different qualities were the very reason that made you decide to start a company together. John, what effect did my question have on you? Did it make you pause and think, or did you find my question unnecessary? Mary, what effect did my question have on you? Did it make you pause and think, or did you find my question unnecessary?
Your question made me pause and reflect on the qualities that initially drew us together as business partners. It helped set a positive tone by highlighting our strengths and shared vision, making me more open to the mediation process.
I also found the question beneficial. It made me reflect on the foundation of our partnership and reminded me of the strengths we saw in each other when we started the company. It created a connection to our shared goals and aspirations, setting a constructive tone for the mediation discussion.
John and Mary, this is my final question for each of you. John, what question do you wish I'd asked you at the beginning of our meeting, but I didn't? Mary, what question do you wish I'd asked you at the beginning of our meeting, but I didn't?
I wish you had asked about our specific concerns or areas where we feel the most tension. It would have allowed us to dive directly into the issues that brought us here and set the stage for addressing those concerns through mediation.
I echo John's sentiment. Exploring our specific concerns early on would have provided a clearer focus for the mediation process and helped us address the root issues more efficiently.
John and Mary, thank you so much for your feedback. It will help me improve my mediation skills.
You're welcome. If our input can contribute to your growth as a mediator, we're glad to help.
Indeed, happy to assist. If you have any more questions or need further feedback in the future, feel free to reach out. Good luck with your continued development as a mediator.
All right, so now we have reached the third part of our webinar, which is what's next. Okay, so let me give you some suggestions for what was next. And then if there is some time left, we can start with a Q&A or with the second poll. So let me, Okay. Okay, we've done this. Let me move this around. Let me move this around. Okay. To begin with, if you wanted to run a mediation simulation with ChatGPT, all you need is a free ChatGPT account. ChatGPT has both a free account and a paid account. You don't need the paid account for the simulations. All I did was with a free account. Also, I prepared what is called a Getting Started kit. There is a video which is very similar to the ones that you have seen so far. And there are 3 PDF transcripts. One is a simple mediation. The other one is an intermediate. At the intermediate level is a mediation simulation of a landlord-tenant case, court-ordered, with private meetings, with a debriefing session, and an assistant. And the third case is advanced because you ask ChatGPT to play the role of the mediator and find out what ChatGPT would have done in a case that you found particularly difficult. Now, the regular price of this Getting Started kit is $15. However, there are some discounts available for mediation centers and IDR organizations. Also, if you think that will be useful, I'm willing to participate in webinars on this topic, and later I'll give you some information on how to get in touch with me. Okay. Finally, I've set up an international online community to share tips and lessons learned. And I have 2 lessons learned that I'd like to share with you. The first one is that ChatGPT can be too soft when plays the role of the parties and their lawyers. And therefore, asking ChatGPT to play those roles is good at the beginning, but later on, it is better to be more specific. Say, for example, watch out because Jim has such and such personality, and so on. So the more specific you are, the better it works. Also, I've tried to use ChatGPT in a co-mediation mode. Didn't work so well. ChatGPT seemed to get confused, having to play the role of 2 co-mediators at the same time. So either he got confused or I was unable to know how to teach him how to do it. Also, in our online community, we are testing ChatGPT in foreign languages. For example, we have tested, besides English and Italian, which is my native language, we also tested it in German, in simplified Mandarin, in Greek, and in Turkish. And there are other tests going on as we speak. This online community is also a way to connect to each other and to share best practices and also to share upcoming events like this one. So if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can contact me via LinkedIn, or you can send me an email. My email address is mediationskills@gmail.com. And this is the end of my presentation, which I hope you find useful. So we have a few minutes left. And if you have some questions, please type your questions in the chat box, and someone will manage your questions.
Giuseppe, while we're waiting for any questions in the chat box, let me ask you a few basic questions. First of all, this was a really amazing example to me. I was very surprised. How difficult is it to learn how to use ChatGPT? I mean, it sounded like you were having just an informal conversation and you got instant answers.
Well, first of all, it took me some time to learn how to do it. And I learned that ChatGPT is very strong with language. But language has to be clear and specific. So, for example, you don't say write a scenario. You say write a 40-word long scenario. Or you don't just say play the roles of John and Mary. You say play the roles of John and Mary, but keep in mind that John is like this. Mary is like that. Okay. So it takes some time. That's why I created this Getting Started kit. So at the beginning, besides trying out, mediators can simply copy and paste those instructions and see how ChatGPT responds. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have tried simulations in different languages. I don't speak any of those languages. I just said, take these sentences in English, ask ChatGPT to translate them into your own language, and follow these instructions. And it worked. So it takes some time, but once you understand how it works, it's pretty straightforward, I have to say. And it's very, you have seen how ChatGPT can come up with a metaphor, right? And to me, that's amazing, because I will never be able to do that.
Yeah, I noticed on the ChatGPT site there were something like 20 some languages available.
Right.
Are those sort of in a beta testing, or have they been thoroughly tested?
Well, some have been tested. Some are still being tested, because from my perspective, all mediators around the world want and need to practice. But it's better if they practice in their own language, in their native language, right? So, and as I said, we've already tested some languages where I'm waiting for the results in some other languages. Any other?
Yeah, there are a number of chat questions here. Let me go on to get as many as I can in here. One question was, you're using ChatGPT 3.5, and I've heard just today that version 4 is available. Do you know if there's a difference, or what the difference is between 3.5 and 4?
I think that the 4.0 is the paid version. It's $20 per month. But I never used it. I never saw the need for it. I used the other one, the 3 point something.
Okay.
Now,
next question was, you write excellent prompts. How did you align them with mediation ethical principles or standards with GPT outputs?
Well, the reason why I write a simple prompts is because in my mediation, I use a minimalistic approach. So I try to ask the minimum number of questions, but as effectively as possible. Question number, that's one answer. The answer is that English is not my first language. And I try to keep questions as simple as possible that anybody will understand.
Well, Giuseppe, your English is much better than my Italian.
Thank you.
So this last question here, next question is, I've got a variation of it as well. Could chat be used by each party independently, with chat assuming the role of a conflict coach? And my similar question to that is, if the mediator, attorney for the one party and attorney for the other party all have ChatGPT and ask the same question, let's say it's a question like, what is the most effective argument, or what did I forget to ask? Are they all going to get the same answer?
Great question. Just yesterday, I discovered that ChatGPT is coming with a new version, which is called the Teams, which allow more people to participate in the same conversation. It's something so new that I haven't tried it yet. So the only way I've tried it so far in the last 6 or so months is where a mediator, a solo mediator, asks ChatGPT to do what I've shown you, to play the role of the parties, to play the role of mediators, and so on. I will not be surprised if soon there will be a kind of group environment where different people can participate in the same simulation. How soon that will happen and how that will work, I don't know. But the reason why I'm very interested in this is to find out, first, what is your first impression about all this? And by the way, Jose, can we run the second poll, the second survey, which basically is, what do you make out of all this? Do you mind, Jose? So the question is, how interested are you in ChatGPT assisted mediation simulations on a scale of 1 to 5? I'm very interested, or I'm interested, or I'm not interested at all.
Well, Jose's posting that question, Giuseppe.
Yes, I'm looking at it. Yes.
Okay. Can this simulation work with different styles of mediation? In other words, can you address that issue of different styles within the ChatGPT conversation?
You mean different mediation methods?
Yes.
Yes, of course. But if you are the mediator, do you want to tell ChatGPT in advance what kind of method are you going to use, or it doesn't really matter?
Well, let's say you want to tell them in advance that that's your style of mediation, a particular style.
I can tell you what a test that I've already done. I said, tell me what could be the opening statement according to problem-solving method, narrative mediation, transformative mediation. So you can ask ChatGPT to give you this information, or you can give it this information. There are only so many tests that I've been able to run with ChatGPT in the last 6 or so months. Okay, so here's the end of the poll, and it seems that 75% of you are either very interested or reasonably interested about this mediation. Thank you, Jose. Any more questions in the chat box?
There it is. I think we've covered all that we have time for here. Please follow up with Giuseppe if you have additional questions or comments. I just want to make a brief plug here for Conflict Resolution Alliance. As a Hawaii nonprofit, we have a number of presentations during the year. I think we did 5 online presentations last year. We have more in addition to this one planned for the next year, and they're all free to members. So please feel free to go on our website. That's in the chat box as well. It's CRA Hawaii, one word, CRAHawaii.org, to keep up with matters and maybe even join and participate in future discussions. Let me make just one final check here to see if we have any other.
Dick, would you like to say something about the video recording of this?
The video recording is online, but it's in the chat as well. Jose, would you like to address that, or Lisa?
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, we'll have a recording of this available within 24 hours at the Peace Building Initiative's YouTube channel. I'll also send an email to everyone who registered for today's event, who may have not been able to join with a link to the recording. Right, thank you.
Okay, and a question that I was asked during a previous webinar was, can I share this video with my colleagues? By all means. So once you have the link, feel free to share with anybody else. All right.
Excellent. We're right at the top of the hour, so I just want to thank everybody for participating. And Giuseppe, that was fantastic. Really learned a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and I'm glad that whatever I was able to show you can be useful to you. Thank you then.
Thank you.
Bye now. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.